Welcome to the Body, Mind, Spirit Show with me, your host, Coach Rita Hurry. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Body, Mind, Spirit Show with your host, Coach Rita Hurry. And yes, we are in 2022, so I hope you all had a great Christmas and wonderful New Year. Today, I am excited because I get to interview someone who I know pretty well and who is very close to me, and that's my sister, Melissa Hurry, who is a project manager, content creator, and a filmmaker. Melissa, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the show. And just to let everyone know, the reason why Mel, I'm going to call her Mel if she's okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why I've got her on the show is because she is an inspiration. She's done so much in 2021 and she's just very committed to what she does. And I am sure that you are all going to be inspired with this interview. So, Mel, what inspired you to become a filmmaker and screenwriter?
Well, that's quite a long journey, to be honest. But I mean, it did start around 10 years ago. Well, actually, no, 11 years ago, 11 and a half maybe. I keep forgetting we're now a year ahead. And I basically just decided, I had a bit of a dream about a storyline, and I don't know if anyone else has dreams like that, but I definitely do. And the next morning I just thought to myself, well, actually this would be really good in a film. I'm just going to write it down, and I just started writing some ideas down, and there were some parts that stuck word for word, and I just started along this journey in terms of writing this script. But then of course I didn't really know what format it should be in. I had no idea. I just wrote stuff down, and I had no idea what the way it should be styled or the way it should be formatted or anything. So I also decided to enroll onto a Screenwriters Course by Birkbeck University, which was really good, and it gave me a lot of insight into the layout, the structure, the characters, the depth that you go into, making sure that you're showing and not just telling on a script. So it started from that really, then therefore it just started moving on into things like, well, actually maybe we can build some content around it. How about actually making a film? To cut a long story short, that didn't work so much then. And then I just put an official stop to it because daily life just got in the way, and there was I guess I didn't have the right people around me to know exactly where I should go with this and what I should do, and it just wasn't the right time. So I sat on it for a long time and didn't do anything, and then of course I'm pretty sure all of the audience know that we have Rhyme Entertainment Limited that we are joint CEOs on. So of course the content around that started building up, and I started to make the right contacts, and it just went on from there. So I'd say from around 2019/20 was about the time that I started to make those contacts again via Rhyme Entertainment Showcase, and then I just decided I have to do something, otherwise it's just going to be another 10-15 years or a lifetime of not doing anything and actually knowing if I could do it. If I've still got the interest, for me it was a sign from the universe to just carry on. So I just went for it and started making my films in 2021. So got back into it from 2020 in terms of the screenwriting, picked up the old scripts, and then it was 2021 that I said, right, I'm actually going to make stuff now.
Wow. And I think one message, well, several messages come through from that, is the fact that, number one, you started, and even with Rhyme, we both started with that because of timing. Its timing wasn't right, and some people look at that as failure. Some people think, okay, well, if you're not seeing it through, then that means that I failed, kind of thing. But it's not, because as you mentioned there, it was timing. It's about being in the right frame of mind to see that through. And second of all, you could have easily gone down just a general writing course, but you chose, screenwriting. You chose, well, how do I write a script from a dream? Most people would think, oh, maybe I want to be a writer. Maybe I've got an imagination for that. But you particularly went down that path. Can I just ask, why that path and not just general writing? Was it something within you that knew that, yeah, I actually wanted to do the script writing more than?
Yeah, so I'm basically being honest then. That's a really good question, because I'm not great with detail. I can't write like novels and stories and, really describing how green the grass is and, in contrast to sky. I'm rubbish at that. For me, it's like the sky is blue. Use your own imagination as to how blue it is. Maybe that's a really bad part on my side, but it actually did stem from an incident that happened at school. I think I was like around 12 or 13, and basically we were told to write a story, and what I ended up doing was writing a movie script. And I remember my teacher coming back to me with the marks. So, I got a C in it, but it was the best C I ever got, because she actually said, this wasn't a story. You missed the total, you missed the assignment aim altogether. Yeah. But instead this was more or less like a Hollywood movie script. And for me, that was like the biggest compliment ever. So yeah, again, it was like probably the best feedback and grade C that I ever got, because it was something that actually I quite liked writing it, because it felt action, it felt that there was a lot of movement in it, and I believe that she actually really generally liked it, and that's why she gave me a C and not a D. But because I missed the aim of the assignment objective, fair enough. But since then, I think I've always loved films anyway, and like I said, I'm not good at detail. I took drama and dance drama when I was in school, so I was always following scripts anyway, whether that be monologues or anything, so I'm very familiar with that sort of layout. Don't get me wrong, I did read books, but I used to skip pages where it was just constant description. And I just wanted to see it. It's like, right, I just want to see it in my head, or I want to use my own imagination as to what I wanted to see. And that's really why I didn't go down the general writer's route. I thought, no, actually, I just want to screenwrite, because exactly what I saw in my dream, or exactly what I see just upon conversation, with yourself sometimes. It's like, oh wow, what if I just write this down, and how does this sound in terms of this dialogue and that dialogue? And then the character creation was something that would just evolve with that. So yeah, I'm not a very detailed person. That's really why I stick to screenwriting. And I know there's some screenwriters that are very detailed, and that's absolutely fine, because it is about that showing and telling. But for me, it's kind of more to the point, and I like to see as I write, rather than kind of go into tiny things that I feel could be not as relevant to the action that's going on.
Yeah. And I think that also what you're saying now is that anyone who has that creativity of writing, if they're like yourself, who like to get straight to the point, they've got another option that they could possibly look at that maybe they've not thought about. So you've actually opened people's mindset just through your answer.
Yeah.
So, and maybe your teacher actually thought, gosh, I wish I actually gave people a script writing or screenwriting assignment than a story writing. Maybe she actually regretted it after she read yours.
I'm not sure about that.
So, first of all, congratulations on winning, having 2 award-winning short films this year, because you went just from creating the script and actually making the films. And should I say not this year, I should say last year.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
What gave you that get up and go to actually make the films? Because I know there are many screenwriters who write a script, who have it, who love what they've written, but they don't go out and make the film, or they think they have to get a high budget in order to make the film. What made you go out there and do that?
It's quite weird because, you know, I know obviously the industry, like the film industry in particular, stopped over COVID for natural reasons because of lockdowns and safety and all of that. But that kind of gave me more of an instigation to go and create something and do something outside the box. So the first film I decided to do was was called Maybe It's Not. And originally that were written about two people meeting in a park, and they meet over time and they build this connection. And then, you know, and then all of a sudden one of them doesn't show up for their next meeting. The other thinks that they're being ghosted, and that's kind of like the premise of the story. Ghosted, by the way, for those that don't know, means like if you're just being ignored all of a sudden and you're not sure what or why, which happens a lot in relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's another story. But anyway, moving on from that, when COVID hit us, and, you know, like I said, the world just literally stopped, and that was okay. That was both a good thing, you know, and I know obviously it had its negative points as well. But for me, it was like, I actually want to make a film now. And probably everyone's thinking you're out of your mind, but I said, no, actually, we've got laptops, we've got phones, we can still do stuff. And I think it was about time that, you know, people in the arts had to kind of really push forward on their creativity and use the technology that they had. And that was one of the reasons. So I adapted the whole script. I was like, forget it. No, we're not meeting in a park. Let's change it to randomly meeting online, you know, someone typing the wrong Zoom link ID or, you know, something like that. And then, you know, out of nowhere, they just meet by chance. And that actually got me into really trying to be a bit more creative. There was no location just apart from where you were in your vicinity. 2, there was no budget being needed. You know, if you've got someone that you can work with that's, you know, that can act, that really does help. And also someone who's flexible and likes to push themselves as well. You know, I did have some challenges where some people weren't, you know, they just felt really nervous not being directed. But luckily the person that I did team up with, she was really you know, able to kind of move with the times in using digital technology to self-record, and we're able to have those discussions on how best to do it. And that was the first instigator. It was like, right, we're in COVID, we can't do anything. No, actually we can. We've got technology. Let's try and do something different. And you know, again, that inspiration kicked off from there.
So it's like, you know, you started taking action, and that action led you to do more action, which then resulted in you making the second film that you did, which obviously you'd written the script years back, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so another script that was done like 10-11 years ago. So that one in particular was inspired by a friend of mine who actually has written a song about it. So it's called How It Is. And with that, we were quite lucky with shooting this film because it was just outside of the lockdown closure, so we were able to kind of get actors. But again, with that, I just pushed myself into scouting actors again, alongside yourself being my advisor on, you know, double checking I've got the right actors. But they were absolutely phenomenal. Again, they just threw themselves into it. It did take quite a bit of financing, I'm not going to lie there, but it was something that at the right time, again, it's about that timing. When you do have the finances in place, it just, you know, again, if I'm going to quote things from Matthew McConaughey's book Green Lights, the green lights were coming on. So it was just like, right, I needed to keep going. I was able to get some stuff done where I had some money put aside, and I was able to actually get a brilliant camera person who was a director of photography. I was able to get amazing actors and actors who really cared. So another point I would say is about having the right team, including Federica, who I worked with on Maybe It's Not. She also joined the cast of that. So it really helped in terms of having the right actors. And again, it was just the timing. I don't think I would have been able to have done that 10, 11 years ago. I probably would have got some really different sort of, probably would have had a different outcome, and I wouldn't know what to do with the movie. Whereas last year I was like, right, we're going to make this movie. It's going to be a low budget movie. It's going to be a rough and ready kind of shoot, but it's something, we're going to put it together. We're going to have amazing actors, and we're going to be able to shoot it and then submit it to film festivals. And we were able to do that at the end of last year.
Yeah, and it's won awards
already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. What would you say, like, was that confidence boost for you? Because obviously, you know, listeners listening to the show, there's that energy of confidence that has had to be in play in order for you to keep going.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one, because there were parts where you were like, oh, is this ever going to get done? There was some frustrations, which just comes with the whole thing of when you're managing a project anyway. I think it's not necessarily disrespect to any other sort of films, but I feel like when you watch a lot of different films and you think, right, well, if they can make that and that still does well, or they were still able to get like a budget for it, then, you know, why can't I do that? So it's not necessarily saying that the film was bad, but it's about saying, right, it's kind of looking at the quality of films that are out there and things that you think, well, actually, I could probably still do something, and it could be at least half decent. And I'm talking about going to like something that's called a minimum viable product, where you're taking what are the basics that you need for a film. And it was like, right, well, I've got that, so I might as well just move forward with it. And if I've watched so many other films that were half decent or not so, you know, not amazingly great, but they're okay, it's like, well, maybe I can do something too. And I think, to be honest, it did stem from there. And it's like, right, okay, at least I've done it. So it was like, at least it's done, and at least I know where I'm going with it, and what do I learn from this is going to be helpful for maybe the next few films that I make as well.
Yeah. And I guess really a lot of people see like filmmaking and as like this big Hollywood production, and, you know, it has to be epic and like, you know, not the norm. But I guess really through Rhyme and through people we've met as well, we've actually, I think, discovered that no, it's everyday people who are, it's just about taking action and going for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also that timing is definitely important as well, because I was not talking to people around with that mindset, you know, 10, 11 years ago. So that's why I didn't know anything, and I didn't know what to do with it. Yeah, okay, I knew how to screenwrite, but then I still didn't know if it was good enough to actually make something out of it. And then it was just having that, you know, kick up the behind and just kind of say, right, well, if you don't do it now, at least just try something, and let's see how it works. And that's basically how I did it. And if you don't try, you're just gonna sit around and always thinking, what if?
Yeah, no, exactly. Love that. So you're also a project manager. How does project management play a part in the creative industry?
It's a huge part. I mean, the whole thing is a project. So you need to think about, right, what is my idea? Okay, I have a plot outline. How am I going to define this? What do I need? So this is where you start to go through prioritizing exactly what you need, right? Basic things. It could be just starting off from, right, I need someone behind a camera. I need someone who's at least got a light box. I need someone who can do sound. and I need a set of actors. Let's just say that's your bare minimum of what you need for the film. And then it's about kind of, you know, again, establishing like how long, looking at your time frames, what activities are taking place. So all of it, from what I've learned and what I trained in with project management, that's exactly what I implemented with my film projects. And even if there were small films, so like maybe it's not was just done in an afternoon and completed within a week, very simple, simply shot film, but then obviously to something that's a bit more complex, like how it is, that was something that obviously took a lot more time, because it was about certain activities that needed to be done before the actual shoot, and the stuff that you do after, that when you're in post-production as well. So a lot of it aligned to project management, and I don't think there's anything that I would say that I would do differently in terms of the planning, because I thought it was pretty well planned for someone who's quite new into the industry. But their lessons learned as well, which is a huge project management principle. So it's about learning lessons throughout the life of the project, so you know not to make the same mistakes twice.
Yeah. So it sounds like project management does have a part to play in many industries, if not all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you know, you can use it in anything. For me, it's something. It's not just films, it's not just construction projects or IT projects, or, you know, things that are of the corporate style. It's anything. If you're planning a holiday, use project management. I remember the person who trained me up, like in 2016, you know, he used project management methods to plan his own wedding. So things like, you can do it personally as well as professionally. Business launches is a perfect one to use project management in, and even if it is just managing the campaign, because I also do digital marketing coaching as well. And so all of that, they all work hand in hand. You still need to understand a process of a project, just so that you know it's organized and you know you're on top of things, because otherwise it's just chaos, and no one's going to work with you again if it's just chaotic.
Yeah, it sounds almost like you're compartmentalizing everything, but practically. So it's not just compartmentalizing in your brain, but actually doing it physically as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you can just prioritize as well. So like I said about minimum viable product, is just thinking, right, what needs to go out there, and then just focus on the priorities. And if you can add in any extras, brilliant. Thinking about your budget in between all of that as well.
Learned something. I always learn something about project management with you.
I'll teach you some more later.
Or I'll just hire you. That's all right. So moving on to content creation, because I know obviously you're a content creator. What we have noticed over Rhyme, but also just in general, is that so many entrepreneurs, business owners, and creatives sometimes lose this part because they don't like to be on social media as much. Why is content creation so important?
I think if you want to be seen, you need to be active on everything. And if you don't want to be seen, then you don't. It's as simple as that, really. You either just, you know, it's kind of like, you know, are you going to stay at home all the time, or are you going to go out so people can see you? It's the same thing, except it's just virtual. It's really important, especially I would say for anyone who wants to be visible. So whether you're a business, if you're an actor, if you're a filmmaker, or just, you know, somewhat just an individual that wants to be seen or promoted for maybe some positive messages. If it's something that's positive that you're promoting out there, you need to be active. They need to understand you. Otherwise, they're not going to know what you stand for, what you represent. And this is why it's so important to be active. What you'll see is that, you know, there's a lot of things out there where people will buy followers, or they'll, you know, and I'm not like, you know, I wouldn't say I'm like a content creating expert here, because I know there's millions of us out there, but you need to think about organic activity. And it's not about, okay, I'm just going to buy 26 million or 1,000 followers on there. You have to do organic content so that people can see you and you've got the right people following you. So you're not just going to get loads of people who are, say, I say in inverted commas, social media marketers, where they all just follow you and then the next minute you've dropped by 100, let's say. You want people that actually like your content, or at least they like the organic content and the authentic content that you're producing, and that's how you get followers. But if you're not on there, you're just going to be hidden away, and what's the point in that? Obviously COVID's taught us a lot about being out there virtually. It's like having your show reels on there. If we don't see you, we're not going to understand your talent, we're not going to understand your expertise. So it's with any marketing. Some people, back in the day had flyers. If you didn't do any flyers, no one was going to see you. If you weren't in the papers, no one was going to know about you.
I remember those days.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and it's the same thing now. It's just working out virtually. I don't understand it. It's free as well. Even if you did a sponsored ad, it'll be a few pounds or dollars or whatever, but it's free marketing. Why aren't you using it? It's all technology there in the palm of your hand. I don't understand shying away from it.
Yeah. And I guess also it's you are your brand. So if people don't know you, then they won't know your brand.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about having your message out there. A lot of us have got important things to say, positive things, I should add, because I don't see the point in spreading negativity or just being like hurtful to others. If you haven't got nothing good to say, don't say it at all, kind of thing. But a lot of us have got something important to say, or even if it is just making someone laugh, but you need to be out there so people know about you. Again, even for screenwriters, it could be, not necessarily taking sample pictures of your scripts, let's say, because obviously that's sensitive information. But it could be, I'm working on a script, and you can take like a blurred photo of it and add in a caption around what you're doing at the moment. Just things like that. Or even if you're having a cup of tea, all of that is really helpful because it helps people engage with you and understand what you're about, what you're doing, and it just builds that connection. And I think that's really what it's all about. And and hopefully people are able to generate business and sales from that, and that's great. Or even friendships, who knows?
Yeah, no, definitely. So there's some great points there, but again, still, even from that, many people sit on their dreams and they spend their life thinking about it. They'll go through social media, they'll scroll and they'll see this person is doing this and that, and they get inspired, but then they stop and they're like, okay, well, that's good enough for them, but that's not me, even though they really have that eagerness to want to be like that person or to follow what their dreams are. What advice would you give to those that just spend their time thinking about things and scrolling and admiring people, but yet not having that, I don't know, confidence, I guess, to go out and take action?
It's kind of like the same thing as, like, someone's in a job that they're not happy in and they just sit there, and then before you know, 10 years they're still there. It's the same thing like that. Look, the more you sit and think, the more time is just getting away from you. You're going to end up getting more and more grey hairs by the end of it. If you just sit there and just think about things, you've just wasted time that you could have done something. And I know there's a lot of things saying, but it takes money. Sometimes it doesn't take money. Sometimes it is just about connecting with someone that might want to help you, or you might be able to say, right, well, maybe if I just did this, or maybe, for example, let's just take filmmaking. If someone said, right, I don't have an actor, why don't you try and put yourself in there as well then? See if you can push yourself to that limit of acting in that character if you're lost of a character. If you've got like a one person. Yeah, and which is exactly what I did, because I was stuck. So I ended up being, for Maybe It's Not, I was stuck for one of the characters, and I literally said, well, let's throw me in it. Like, forget it, I'll do it. And then I changed the concept for, and then it won best LGBTQ short which was, you know, brilliant, because that wasn't the intent, you know. Previously the original story was not like that, but then it was like, okay, well, you know what, I'm just going to throw myself into it and let's just see what happens. And I'm not an actress. I mean, as much as I know you say I am, Rita, I'm not an actress, although I did do drama, I was pretty good at that. But yeah, but generally, you know, I haven't done like a huge amounts of training, and I was probably bad in that, to be honest, who knows. But I just threw myself into it and it happened. And that's one way you can stop saying, oh, but I need to get this, I need to get that. Sometimes you might need to learn the skills and do it. And therefore you saved yourself a load of money, perhaps. Or but if you don't get involved in that, or if you don't take any sort of action, you know, before you know it, it's another 10 years, and then you're not going to have the energy to do it, because you just might be that bit more tired. Or, you know, something else will always come in the way. There's always something to take you away from the idea. There's always going to be a distraction. Don't give in to it. Stop scrolling. Put your phone down, unless you're promoting positive content. But yeah, but just put your phone down, or, you know, stop watching TV, just switch it off and just get on with what you need to do. And, you know, and before you know it, it's probably even not going to be as difficult as you thought it would be in the beginning. And that's something that I learned, that actually you know, if you're doing you know, multicast sort of film like How It Is, and fair enough, that is challenging, but it was still done. It was still done. But sometimes things are just a little bit more simpler, and you probably thought, all I need is 3 people, all I need is 2, or maybe you just need yourself to just get started. So just, you know, reach out and get things done, put things into action, because you're going to feel so much better about yourself once it's done.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we spoke about this earlier, where like your confidence came from actually just throwing yourself into it, and just doing it, because then obviously from your first film, and then you moved on to being able to do How It Is, you know, you've managed to go into that, because had you not done the first one, you probably wouldn't have had the confidence to actually go into that straight away. So it is about taking those small steps, and to stop thinking about it and just do it, which is so important. So what tips can you share, and inspiration that you can share with the listeners to help them go for it, which I know you've just shared a tip there, but also from, if you want to bring in like the project management perspective, or just any tips that, because we've covered a lot here in terms of content creation, in terms of confidence, in terms of taking action. But I feel that also there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we could talk for ages about this, but that the listeners could actually really kind of grab even more than what they've already grabbed so far. So any more tips you'd like to share?
I think just the first part would be to, and there's so many tips that I could say. I think just think about the bare basics of what you need, and that makes things a lot easier, because what you do, you know, in one of our shows, I know we spoke to one of our guests about this, and, you know, you could start really like high level and say, right, okay, I want to make a film, and then, but the next part is, it's about breaking it down. You need to break things down for it to become more simpler, and maybe it might mean just doing things task by task so that you eventually get there. But I think you need to definitely just simplify things. What is the bare minimum that I need? It's like making a cake: eggs, flour, sugar, milk if you want it nice and, you know, quite fluffy. I'm not sure, I'm not even a baking expert. But, you know, just think about the bare necessities, so I won't start singing Jungle Book either now, of what do you need for your film or your project, and just work from that. You know, it could be, I just need a phone, I'm just going to film myself doing this, or I'm going to film something happening here, and actually this might be good for a bit of content. I might post a segment of what I've just shot to my social media page, that might bring some engagement. Or and again, start to think very simply, and then you can start using those simple things for some of your content. All of it integrates really well, but if you start thinking simply and think, right, what do I need? I need this person for that, I need that person for this, or actually I've got skills in that, let me see if I can be one of those people as well. It's okay to play more than one role. It's just about making sure that you understand that, and it's just part of the basics, and then you can start to build up. Don't overcomplicate things. I think the worst thing that we could do is overthink and overcomplicate. That's what I did for about 10-11 years before I literally was able to push myself and just think, well, actually I've got a laptop and a phone, I've got someone that I know who's absolutely brilliant, let me just work with them. And that was the very simplistic way of doing it, and it worked. It did work. I'm not saying again it's amazing, an amazing piece, but it still worked and it still got awards. So if you think simply, who knows what that could do for you? And I would say that's for 2022. Think simply, have achievable goals, and just make it easy for yourself to achieve them, and stop overthinking.
I love that. I think you've just nailed everything there, Mel.
Thanks.
I'm already thinking of a couple of quotes for social media content that could come out from that. So
there you go.
So you're already
content creator.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing it even without having the client there. But so obviously, listeners who are listening, where can they go to find out more about you?
So you can head over. Instagram is probably where I am most active. So you can take a look at Missy Hurry or at Mel Hurry Films. So either pages, they're all kind of interlinked anyway, will get you through to me. But those are the main areas that I would say where you can really catch a lot of my content and find out more about me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will be very interested in how they can use project management, because you've really, I think, brought that to light as well, and even through content creating as well. So there's a lot there. Mel, thank you. I knew it was a good idea to bring you as my guest.
No, thank you. It's been great.
No, thank you. Well, listeners, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and don't forget, if you want to subscribe to the show, please do so. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all soon. Bye. I hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more tips, motivation, and of course inspiration coming up real soon. If you want to email me and send me messages of what you thought of the show or anything you'd love me to cover on the show, please email me at coachrita@swasthialiving.com. Swasthia Living is SwasthiaLiving.com. See you real soon. Bye.